Hello everybody and welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring Tom Colohue. We have plenty of news to share with you today. Our headlines include Ronda Rousey leaving the WWE, the match card predictions for SummerSlam, Drew McIntyre's return, plans for WrestleMania, whether it be London or otherwise. There are other cities in the UK making bids. A planned match for SmackDown, which is being pitched and in interest to Charlotte Flair. A favour being done to Shayna Baszler. A little bit on the fake news reports about Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton that have been building in the last few weeks. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the channel, as we tend to do in Spoiler Warning, the video plan for this week, some new emotes and some new merch. Then we're going to talk about The Way and a little bit about DIY and who may be leading the charge to bring them back. I'll give you a hint, it's not who you might expect. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso is a topic of discussion after that, and I'm going to round out a little bit about what's going on in my life, including birthday streams and my plans for the diversification of this stream setup. So plenty that we will be discussing. We already have 31 people in the chat and 16 likes. Please remember when you join to hit that thumbs up. It really does make a massive difference to the growth of the channel. And if you are a channel member, you may see some additional ways that you can show that, including a spoiler warning themed like. More to come. Keep an eye, because there's plenty more to discuss on that one. So let's jump straight into it before I'll then come and say hi to everyone. Thank you so much for jumping in and saying hi, but let's talk about Ronda Rousey to start with, because there's a lot of headlines to go over. Ronda Rousey is indeed planning to leave the WWE. There are a number of different options in her contract which allow her to essentially make it expire whenever she chooses so. I have already previously mentioned quite a few of these because it's caused a lot of problems with booking Ronda Rousey when it comes to specifically Triple H. When it comes to Vince McMahon, it seems to be quite a lot easier, but the terms of Ronda Rousey's contract were such that she was always going to get a tag team championship run alongside Shayna Baszler and a world championship run. At least it was a SmackDown championship run, but you get what I mean. Plus a high-profile match directly against Shayna Baszler. I reported this when she returned in January last year. And it is these limitations and the prevention of the booking that Triple H was looking for that has caused us to now come about the point at which Ronda Rousey is planning to leave. It was a bit of a shock at Money in the Bank seeing Shayna turn on her in the way that she did, but it was a late decision. This is not something that has been planned for weeks in advance and months in advance. It is something that Ronda Rousey let the company know quite recently that she was not planning to continue with the WWE, so SummerSlam will be the moment at which Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler implode. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler set to implode at SummerSlam. Ronda Rousey's apparent plan is to go out on her back having lost to Shayna Baszler, and I promise you my tweet on that got a hell of a lot of attention. We're approaching 10,000 views on the tweet alone just because of the amount of people very interested in this. Ronda Rousey is planning to leave with her head held high, in no way unhappy with the company from best I can tell. There are no long-term issues being caused, and the WWE, from what I'm gathering, would be happy to have her back at some point in the future. There is, and I've got to make this clear because people have been saying to me, there is no possibility of Ronda Rousey turning up at AEW. I've been asked several times, and I can see Christian asking the same question, is this leaving or coming back later? Nobody can answer that question, including Ronda Rousey. The door is open for a return should she choose to do so at some later point, but right now, the plan is to walk away for good. That is our top story, and there'll be more details on that tomorrow in a special video that I'll be making. I know you guys get quite a lot of information direct from Spoiler Warning, and I want to make sure Spoiler Warning gets the news first. But then when the videos do come out, please do check them out and leave us a like. It does make a big difference. I want to say a big thank you to so many people already here. Dark Society, Brad, Becca, Joe, Venom, Aaron, Daz, Richard, Joey, Brad, Ken, Marcel, Noob, Leon, Zane, Eric, and Jordan. Thank you all of you for joining us on the Twitch side as well. We have Spider Boss, Sean, Bailey as well, and Wiggly also, all here before the show even started. To cover some of the questions, Joey is asking, does Ronda have an opt-out clause in her contract, or was it a one-year deal? I saw Dave Meltzer reporting that she had a hard stop on her contract, and that the hard stop had been ignored several times. I don't know how you do both, but apparently she can. Spider-Boss says, what is next for Rhea Ripley heading to SummerSlam? With Rhea Ripley, I'm genuinely not sure. I have a bit on other people, but it seems like Liv Morgan may be the only choice here. The choice of Ronda Rousey to walk away when she did has certainly caused some issues with the booking system. Sean says, hello, Lord Colohue of Blackpool. Spider-Boss says, what's next for the tag team titles? More on that shortly. Says, who do you pick as Edge's final rival? I wouldn't pick any final rival, to be honest. I'd essentially make sure he loses to an up-and-comer, like an Austin Theory, for example, or a Damian Priest. That's what I'd personally go for. I'd have him demolished by Damian Priest. Like, demolished. Bailey says hello as well. Spider-Boss says, Vince leading the way for DIY. Nope. Someone else. Turnbuckle Studio says, good day, mate. Hello, Carl. How you doing, man? Dal says, Rhea defends tonight. Yes, she does. She's defending against Natalya. I would imagine whatever the plan is, we will see it going into action on Raw. Peter says, the best wrestling reporter on the planet is back. Let's get it on. Don't forget the likes, or I will get the table, and then drops those emotes. Spider-Boss says, happy to see Damian Priest as Mr. Money in the Bank. Me too. Michael says, hi, Tom. Hello, Michael. Wiggly says, UK fans getting excited for WrestleMania 41. Yeah, we will be talking about that. We'll be talking about that. Moxie says, yo, Tom. Hello, Moxie. Joey says, was John Cena appearance a one-off, or are they setting up a feud with Waller? They're leaving a feud option open, but as regards John Cena, it is nothing long-term. Venom says, will Johnny be on Raw tonight? Maybe. Kelly says, hey, Tom. Hello, Kelly. And Carl is okay with Rousey leaving. This is something that's come up quite a lot. Certainly, whenever I put the word out there. The TikTok video that I made of the short on YouTube has more than 13,000 views. And most of them are saying, good. Didn't quite expect it. Dom says, what's up, Tom and chat? And switch it up a little bit, but don't forget to hit the like button. But I just want to say this Bloodline story we're witnessing is probably the best story I've seen. We do have more on the Bloodline shortly. Eddie says, Russian Jade Cargill will be the next one's jumping ship. Maybe. Jumping ship is a strong phrase. 23 says, why is she leaving? Many reasons. Essentially, from what I can tell, she only wanted to stay for a brief time. As best I can tell, she misses the WWE when she's not there. But when she is there, she kind of misses not doing that. Ray says, have you played Fight Forever? I have not as of yet. No, but I've watched some playthroughs. Spider-Boss says, I think it's been unfair that fans blamed Ronda for getting the match versus Charlotte at WrestleMania 38. That is part of the legacy that Ronda Rousey unfortunately leaves. The plan for WrestleMania was Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks, with Sasha Banks winning the championship from Charlotte Flair until Ronda Rousey arrived. Joey said, I remember you mentioned a while back that Triple H wasn't happy with putting the title on Ronda. Is that the reason she's leaving? No. Callie says, evening, Tom. Hello, Callie. Rizal says, it's so weird how Ronda was pushing for a tag run with Shayna only to have it end this quick. Was so shocked about the Shayna turn at Money in the Bank. Ronda wanted the tag run a lot sooner. She wanted to be working with Shayna when she was already champion very early in the run. Essentially, the promise was made by the WWE. Reports indicate, sources indicate, that when it comes to this particular deal, the WWE made a very, very clear promise and have not exactly kept their word on either count, Vince or Triple H. Richard says, honestly can't wait for the match. I can see it being either a massive flop or Ronda's best wrestling match of her career. They should definitely have chemistry. Spider-Boss says, does WWE still have interest in bringing Mercedes, Moné, Sasha Banks? They will always have interest in bringing back Sasha Banks. Let's just say, Tom, the Usos have announced that Roman will be on Tribal Court on SmackDown at Madison Square Garden. If it's anything like the trial of Sami Zayn, we are getting glorious cinema. I do not expect Roman Reigns to turn up to that. Sean says, could the match at SummerSlam between Shayna and Ronda have Ronda's career on the line? Yes. More likely what will actually happen is that they'll just have Ronda lose and then stop mentioning her. Daniel Berry says, yo, Daniel. Wiggly says, can we expect a Ronda Hall of Fame induction soon? Soon is a stretch, but I would expect her to go into the Hall of Fame, yes. Spider-Boss says, I think Grayson Waller could be a good rival for Edge. a win would help Grayson. Certainly what's happening in the upcoming SmackDown could be a good sign of that, considering that Edge is likely to wrestle at SummerSlam and needs an opponent. Just as any news on John Cena after Money in the Bank? Nope. Callie says, when Cena at a house show last night, Sheamus and Sami went out of their way to come over to the fans. Always lovely to see. Always a fantastic thing that a lot of wrestlers can give to their fans very, very easily. As I continue to read through this, please do remember to hit like as you join the chat. We currently have 59 people watching and only the 30 likes, meaning that half of the people watching have not hit like. I would really appreciate if you did. It would massively boost the viewership, the growth potential of the video, and potentially help me find additional subscribers. We're currently on 2,486. Every little does help. 14 more to get to 2,500. Christian said, I wonder if Ronda leaving will make Shayna the head heel and possibly go for the world title. More on that shortly. Sean says, I thought about this today, but could Beth come out to save Natalya from Rhea? Yes, anything could indeed happen. Dad says, when do you see Steph defend? Constantly. He's constantly defending the championship. Ken says, anything on Liv? I reported on Liv on Friday's show. There's quite a bit there you may enjoy. Cool43 says, LA Knight versus Logan Paul is the plan for SummerSlam according to the Wrestling Observer. Interesting, because PWInsider reported that is not the plan. Wiggly says Triple H was quick to lower expectations on WrestleMania in the UK because they're not planning to do it. Eric says, Tom, what was the point of retribution? To try and give people who aren't on TV a chance on TV. Joey says it's pretty weird WWE wants to bring Mania to London now after AEW sold a ton of tickets at Wembley. They kind of don't. They're just trying to get the bidding war up so that the UK will pay them more money. Ray says, I was disappointed that LA Knight and Becky did not win Money in the Bank. I wasn't. I was pretty happy that my picks won. Moxie says maybe we get Edge versus LA Knight at SummerSlam or Waller versus Cena at SummerSlam, but will most likely be Edge versus Waller. Yes. Tom, do you see Bobby being on the SummerSlam card? Probably, but I wouldn't guarantee it. Bailey says there were a number of Charlotte versus Bailey matches during last week's UK tour. Is this a future storyline or are they just really comfortable working together? A bit of both. Bailey is staying heel and Charlotte is staying face. It's a way they can guarantee that's going to happen. Joey says LA Knight could have babyface promo at a house show. I wonder if they're going to turn him into a face. They certainly could with the support behind him, but they have been attempting to keep him heel so far. Venom says, why did they have Roman get pinned? Wouldn't it be better to have him pinned when he loses the title? More on that shortly. Hogan says, with Liv, Raquel, Trish presumably busy, here's a list of Raw babyfaces for Rhea. Natty, Katana, Carter, Cross, Candice, Indy, Maxine. Not the biggest selection. And Hogan actually follows up and says, people wonder why I prefer the one world champion model for each division. It's not unfair. Alexa Bliss's name would have been mentioned. But she's not available at the moment. I'm not going to say unfortunately, because it's a wonderful thing that's happening for her. I do think Liv and Raquel, while busy, are not necessarily out of the picture though. Spider-Ball says, it surprised me Shayna turning on Ronda could be considered a face turn for Shayna. I agree. Michael says, any truth to Roman going after Cody at Mania next year? Why would Jay not be the one to beat Roman? There is no guarantee that Roman versus Cody would be for a title. Moxie says, how long from now do you see Roman getting inducted into the Hall of Fame? Your guess, 10 years. And Spider-Ball says, looking at some of the young heels of the main roster, Grayson Waller looked well in his segment with Cena. Yeah, he's essentially taken up the Elias role. Venom says, guessing there's no chance Sasha comes back to WWE. Not true. Khalid says, any chance Eva Marie's coming back to WWE? If the WWE were interested, she would already be back. Christian says, Ronda's a complex wrestler. Does she even care about being in the WWE? Yes. Joey says, do you think LA Knight could face Fury for the US title at SummerSlam? No. Zane says, I'd like to see Natalya win the SmackDown title. I don't think it'll happen. I'm a Natalya fan. Natalya's days of winning championships are thoroughly in the rearview mirror. LF says, Meltzer said the plan for WrestleMania 40 is still Roman versus Cody. I want Roman versus Solo instead. Bigger story there. I agree. Sean says, any word on the supposed break that Becky will be taken after SummerSlam? I have not personally heard anything about this. Razar says, the domino effect Ronda has had on WWE since her return is crazy. Just messes up booking for so many people. Assuming Rhea versus Raquel or Liv is going to happen at SummerSlam, but now they're stuck tagging. They're not stuck. They could still very much be involved in a championship match. Peter says, sorry, Thomas, my lad, bit tardy of my like, but have sorted it now. Appreciate you, sir. And Venom says, I missed you, Tom. Appreciate that. That's a lovely thing to say. SummerSlam. Dave Meltzer has reported the card. It's been reported far and wide. Spoiler warning, got there way ahead of time. The only place before today to report that Drew McIntyre and Gunther was being put together as a creative plan for SummerSlam was, spoiler warning, 3 weeks ago when we first reported about the impending return of Drew McIntyre. The only place to report that they were starting to build Charlotte versus Bianca versus Asuka was, spoiler warning, that is another of the matches currently on that list. There is also Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. I don't believe I was the only one reporting that, but I certainly reported that right here as well, and plenty more in that also. I will be putting together the full SummerSlam match card predictions, where I like to sort of squeeze a few in there that I just don't actually see happening, but think, hey, that could work as a thing, to not give the game away too much. But I think I did pretty well for the Money in the Bank ones. I'm pretty happy over all of it. So those predictions will be coming out in the next few days, probably Wednesday. But most of the matches reported, I can say with confidence, will happen. Ronda versus Shayna is the only one I hadn't already reported because I didn't know Ronda was planning to leave. I did not know until it had already been confirmed to someone else. So, the SummerSlam match card predictions will be coming soon, but I can confirm all of the matches that Dave Meltzer has reported are going to happen. Most of them, he actually confirmed what I had reported. Dom says, I read Vince Russo saying he wanted Dom to... Moving on. Sean says, any idea who Seth will face at SummerSlam? I think a repeat against Finn Balor is actually most likely, though Damian Priest may be involved in that as well. Personally, I would go for SummerSlam, Seth versus Dominic. Richard says, hope Natalya and Rhea actually have a decent battle tonight. We all know Natalya and Rhea have great matches. They haven't really had the opportunity to have great matches. I would really like it if they gave them at least 10 minutes this time. JJ says, hey Tom, according to Boozer, don't know if it's credible, people say he is, Becky and Trish will be taking a break after SummerSlam, is that true? Trish definitely will be taking a break after SummerSlam, and I don't honestly think she'll be returning. As regards Becky, once again, I've not heard anything about it myself, but I did already report this about Trish. Joey says, ringside news reported Triple H met with some talent in the UK, possible or NXT EU. Triple H has been meeting with EU talent and talent in the UK for many months now, mostly over Zoom, as it were, I think is a system that they tend to use. But they did have a couple of meetings in person. There was a brief sort of pseudo tryout, which took place at SummerSlam, at Money in the Bank and in the days building up to it. And William Regal is said to have been in attendance there as well. I've said on Friday, I reported that NXT EU, or NXT Europe, is already firmly in the sites, and a number of talents have already been contacted and offered contracts. This seems to be confirmation of that. Christian says we should have had the 4 Horsewomen versus the 4 Horsewomen in UFC versus WWE when we had the chance. A lot of matches we should have seen when we had the chance that will now never happen. Becky versus Ronda, for example. The other Mike says, are we getting Finn Seth free or Seth moving on for SummerSlam? Personally, I would go Seth Finn free. That's where I would go, especially with Damian Priest now involved in the way that he is. Spider-Boss says, since there isn't so much rivals for Rhea on Raw, could WWE call up Gigi Dolan or Roxanne Perez to face Rhea? They could, I don't think they will. Call-ups seem likely after SummerSlam, and we're not quite there yet. CBRS says, I'm a firm believer of never say never, so if Ronda does leave, she'll be back when the time is right. Which, to be fair, is pretty much exactly how we got to her coming back in the first place. So it's absolutely worth mentioning CBRS, and I appreciate that. Wiggly says, Ronda coming to WWE really pushed the women's division. Her impact on WWE and wrestling cannot be understated. And Ray says, I think LA Knight should get a big push. He's well over with the fans. Marcel hoping for LA Knight versus Edge at SummerSlam. Kelly says, Tom, any chance we see Drew McIntyre tonight on Monday Night Raw? Every chance that you're going to see Drew McIntyre tonight on Monday Night Raw. And in fact, let's get into it because I want to talk Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre returned at Money in the Bank, attacking Gunther, although to be fair, Gunther did attack him first, to set up the Intercontinental Championship match for SummerSlam, which was first reported 3 weeks ago, here on Spoiler Warning. Drew McIntyre was indeed in London for most of the day, essentially hiding. He was at the hotel, but was well protected in his overall approach, and they pretty much hid him as much as possible backstage as well to try and cover for the fact that they didn't want to give the game away. Thank you very much, Brad, for subscribing. 2023, Brad. Very fresh, very new, very original. Welcome, Brad. How you doing, mate? So, What this essentially meant was that nobody knew about Drew McIntyre's arrival apart from a small number of people like Gunther. They made a point of hiding it as much as possible, and it only became clear it was happening when he arrived in the gorilla position. Very nice to see that this one did not get out. There's a little bit of fake news to talk about on this one. For example, PWInsider reported that the WWE were trying to bring in Drew McIntyre and then seemed to lose their nerve and said that there were no plans involving Drew McIntyre. I think PWInsider got sold a line. Got absolutely sold a line on it. I also need to point out, of course, that when it comes to McIntyre, there have been a whole lot of rumours and a whole lot of ramblings about him being unhappy in the WWE, about him wanting to leave for AEW, about him never returning to the ring. Not on your life was never the case. He was out on the injured list because of a number of different injuries and illnesses he has accrued. Drew McIntyre historically works through injury. He has always done this. And unfortunately, recently, he has picked up quite a few. He missed out on a King of the Ring position, for example, that went to Baron Corbin because of an injury. But thankfully, he was still getting a push because that plan was to take him to the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship, and that is where he went. Drew McIntyre will be appearing on Raw to start the build to the Intercontinental Championship match. The WWE are very happy to be able to put this one on. Jay Quick, how you do, mate? Says, Dave Meltzer watches spoiler warning. I know. I'm as shocked as you are. Razar says, will SummerSlam have 7 matches like most PLEs? Nope, plenty more. I'd imagine this one will come in closer to 10. Sorry guys, something in my eye. Joe says, Tom, when is the next Raw watch party? As soon as I have the energy to do it. The most likely situation is actually the Raw after SummerSlam, but it depends what happens on it. Q43 says, do you have any update on Jade Cargill? Unfortunately, I do not. Spider-Boss says, I just hope Rhea vs Natalya doesn't end in a squash. You and me both, mate. You and me both. Sean says, do you know if Grayson is cleared? Having a broken leg, he was able to beat up Cena and take an AA from him. He was very, very heavily protected. Very heavily protected in that. Ray says, will Brock Lesnar be a champion in 2023? Nope. Eric says, Zelina's Code Red spot from One Ladder was a spot of the night for me. Code Red goes legs over the arms. It was a sunset flip powerbomb. And I will stand on that hill because Andrade did the same to, I believe, Finn Balor way back when. Joey says, what does Seth do at SummerSlam if he's not facing Drew? Logically, Damian Priest is going to be involved, and I think Finn Balor's the one. Razar says, is Logan Paul having a match at SummerSlam? To my knowledge, he is available for a match at SummerSlam. I don't know who he'll be wrestling. I don't think it's impossible that it'd be LA Knight. But I'd just like to say once again, I think Ricochet should get the nod. I absolutely think Logan Paul versus Ricochet should be the match. Wiggly says, just want to say big up EO, finally getting a push. I'm a big EO fan, don't you know? Bailey says, if Trish Stratus can wrestle at 47, a 4 Horsewoman versus 4 Horsewoman match is not impossible, but to do it in the future they would all be older and it would not be as impactful. Brad Backer says, Drew is a beast. Zane Charles says, Drew McIntyre will beat Gunther. As Sean says, PWInsider said, on July 2nd, Drew hasn't signed a new contract, which I initially reported 3 weeks ago and confirmed during the Money in the Bank live watch party. Will says, once again, you reported that Drew was ready to return soon, but the date wasn't set, but he was ready. Once again, you're right, as always. Always, I wouldn't entirely say. No one's infallible. I'm certainly not infallible. And there are things that I have gotten wrong. That is a fact of life when it comes to wrestling journalism. Most wrestling journalists will spin it as much as possible to pretend that they haven't got anything wrong, but they do get things wrong. We all do. But I do appreciate what you're trying to say there, and I'm very, very happy to hear it. Thank you. Jonathan Rodriguez says, it was a sunset flip. Thank you, because I said the same thing. Hogan says, not exactly a bold prediction, but I'm guessing that Gunther beats Drew, which leads to Drew turning heel. Ooh, interesting. Personally, I think he's taking the championship. I really do. Razar says, has there been any talk of Beth Phoenix coming back? Not at this point to my knowledge, no. Wiggly says, Tom, I know the reason, but just to clarify for people, please tell us why UK WrestleMania is unlikely. That is my next piece of news. Just while I've got you, though, one of the things I've been working on, and I say me, in no way was it me, in every way was this Sai, and I want to say a massive thanks to Sai, is a troll emote. Just a little emote of someone really angry at spoiler warning. Just wanted to share that, because, you know, it's funny, and it's cute, and Sai does a fantastic job. A truly fantastic job. If you are a channel member, and you see a troll, I strongly advise you to drop that in the chat, because I think it'd be funny. In fact, I think it would be hilarious. Ed, thank you very kindly for dealing with whatever that was, and thank you to whatever that was for the extra chat rate. Spiderboss says, spoiler warnings always 5 steps ahead of the wrestling media. Bray Wyatt's return, Mercedes Money News, and Drew's return. I'm on a good run. CBRS says Gunter has to beat Honky Tonk Man's record. Doesn't have to. Wiggly, they're not live on Twitch yet. They go through a longer confirmation process on Twitch. And also I don't have so many subscribers on Twitch, so they limit the amount I can have. So at the moment they are only live on YouTube. So quite a bit going on there. I'm doing the best I can to get them over as quickly as possible. We're currently up to 2,489 subscribers. One of them will be a troll, admittedly, so that will probably go. But that's only 11 more to get to 2,500. Thank you to everyone subscribing. Thank you to everyone who's hit like. My fourth report is that at current there are no plans for a WrestleMania in the UK. The intention of the WWE is essentially to create a bidding war, and yes, I have to be cynical here. Sources indicate the intention is to communicate to any arena, stadium or city that would host AEW that, hey, if you give us a bit of money, we'll come instead. I don't like being cynical, but that is what I'm being told. So I thought I'd share it. That's multiple sourced as well, so I'm not just being cynical for the sake of it. The WWE are trying to get a bidding war going, but London apparently not the happiest to do so. John Cena was trying to raise as much of a buzz as possible. Triple H dampened it a little bit, but ultimately the excitement is still there. The column inches are still there. There are a number of cities that have already been in contact about potentially hosting WrestleMania. Eurovision fans will probably be aware of this one. Liverpool are apparently keen on hosting an event such as a WrestleMania and have a number of stadiums that could host it. Manchester, I suspect, will get involved at some point as well, but at the moment, Liverpool seem to be the most willing to engage on this particular subject. Sean says Bayley was asked during an interview by Inside the Ropes. She wouldn't go to Japan because she's too old and her body would tell her no. What was the question then? Because I think you missed a bit there. Ken, I could not care less what JD from NY said. Peter says some person was reporting that Randy would be back for Money in the Bank. Shake my head. Let's talk about that. Because when you talk about fake news, Randy Orton's name kept coming up. And funnily enough, I also got a lot of questions as, hey, Tom, is Bray Wyatt going to be there? No. No, he's not. He was never going to be, nor was Randy Orton. I've already mentioned in my report from February, Randy Orton is looking at potentially being cleared in and around SummerSlam. That would be the earliest I could see him returning. Now, after that, I think it's more likely, I suspect we'll see Orton in the latter half of the year, if we see him at all, of course. But there has been a number of fake news reports going around that we were going to see Randy Orton, that we were going to see Bray Wyatt, that we were going to see The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin have a stare down at the Royal Rumble. I've had a bit of a day. I did not have time to put together the fundamental fake news report that I usually do in these instances that you guys have asked me for. I do apologise for that. I will have to put it together as an actual video rather than a live. I will explain how my day went in a bit. That it was my day's been hectic, real hectic. So I unfortunately did not have the time to put that one together, but I will be looking to do so in the near future. Potentially that could be a Thursday video because my plan at the moment is slightly different. Thank you very much, Mark, who both talks and plays, don't you know, for raiding on the Twitch side. Very much appreciated. Welcome to the show, sir. Richard says, I hope Gunter retains because on September 7th, he'll become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Well, SummerSlam is at the end of July. September's away from it. Also, I love seeing Ed drop so many trolls in the chat. Hopefully you guys like the new emotes. I know Sai's worked pretty hard on them. There are quite a few options to indulge in. And they certainly match the theme of the table and the like. So I actually got rid of the ones that I made from way back when for just not being good enough. But there's a few which I'm actually really excited to use quite a lot more. For example, when I ask someone for a source, Sauce. It's a sauce. Do you get it? It's a sauce. I'll let myself out. Teflon Don says, good afternoon, Tom. Just tuning in while at work. Welcome. Thank you kindly. Hogan says, if Drew does win it, I don't think it happens until after Gunther gets the IC title reign record. Certainly not a bad shout. As I've said since the beginning, Drew McIntyre is looking for a push to get back towards the top. And while the Intercontinental Championship is not the be-all and end-all, it's certainly an opportunity to do so. Wiggly says, Tom, off topic, what's the funniest or strangest thing a troll has said? An ex-girlfriend told me that I forced her to fall in love with me once. That was hilarious. Joey says, you know if Triple H signed any talent while he was in the UK, or was it just meetings? To my knowledge, Triple H didn't sign anything. Spider-Boss says, do you think wrestling media should stop asking Bayley about Mercedes money? Yes. And the reason they do that is because people keep reading it. When people stop letting on the clickbait and clicking on it, they'll stop asking. Brad Becker says, gotta love trolls for the chat rate. Very reliable. Airwolf says, hi Tom. Hello Airwolf. Blue says, I thought you said WWE doesn't care about AEW anymore. I have new information. That's for the longest time been the case. I have new information and I have to update my position based on that. The facts clearly suggest that I was wrong. Airwolf says, when's Bron Breakker getting called up? Most likely after SummerSlam. Hogan says, behind the Minneapolis buzz for 41, the only buzz I've seen for a city in WrestleMania is Nashville in 43, since that's when I think their new stadium would be ready. Wiggly says, Asuka's 41, look at her, she's amazing in the ring, and then says a compliment, which I'm not really going to read out, that's for him. Ken says, I hope a WrestleMania is at Old Trafford, I'm a Man United fan. Daryl says, he's going to return after the Roman match. Who is this in reference to, can I ask? Hogan says, oh damn, didn't realise it was more than just buzz. WrestleMania isn't hypothetical. WrestleMania is already committed to 2027. Nihil said on 104.5 The Zone. Who's Nihil? I appreciate that you've sourced it, but I don't know the name. Wiggly says, Haaland could Romans run? Okay, there's just a lot of stuff that Wiggly's saying now. Peter says, you need a cherry coke and favourite crispy mo. God damn it, you're not wrong. I need a cherry coke emote. Oh, I need to talk to Sai. Just need a fizzy can. The man's a genius, by the way. Does everybody know about Sai? Like, oof. He does not charge, and I keep trying to... I've told him several times, I want to pay you, and he just refuses. He's the nicest man in the world. Tony Campbell, welcome. Says Ronda Rousey was going to hang it up after WrestleMania, but because of injury, she had time added to finish at SummerSlam. That very much seems like it was the case as laid out. She had picked up a number of injuries, unfortunately, in her time, and it does seem like her contract was extended, or at least the stop point was extended. It is interesting seeing Dave Meltzer report that she has a clear end point, and also that end point did not happen. Razar says Seth doesn't really have any good challenges on Raw for SummerSlam. I wonder who it will be. Personally, again, I do suspect it will be a repeat of Finn Balor. Jordan says what's even worse is some of these outlets don't even report, they just put teasers on platforms like Twitter to get fans' hopes up only for it not to happen. Yes, because if they tease it but don't confirm it, well then, they're not wrong, they're just not right. We've just passed the half-hour mark and we're about halfway through our headlines. If you've not yet done so, please consider hitting the like button. We have 40 likes and 66 viewers. Every person who hits like does guarantee more viewers finding this video, and I very much appreciate it. You may note that at the moment, while I'm doing lives and spoiler warning, and my intention is that news will first be in spoiler warning, there will be videos coming, and I do have a dedicated video schedule over the next few days. We'll be talking in a lot more detail Ronda Rousey leaving tomorrow. That video will go live. The day after, we'll get our SummerSlam match card predictions, that on the Wednesday. On the Thursday, I will have a members-only video detailing a lot more detail about my reporting on Drew McIntyre, what I knew, when, and how. You get a bit more of a glimpse on the members section into how I work, how I operate, and how I cultivate sources, as it were. If you are a channel member, this could really be something that helps if you're looking to get into wrestling journalism, for example. I also think Thursday will likely be when, on the main channel, the fake news coverage starts out, where I will simply do Money in the Bank fake news report. The debunk, the big debunk, will likely be Thursday. busy times. Then, of course, Friday, I will not be making videos, but I will be live twice on my birthday. Wiggly says, hoping to go see Robotron on Saturday. Go for it, mate. He's an absolutely fantastic night. Dom says, I hope Waller doesn't face Edge. All Edge is going to do is win. He doesn't do the helping of getting others over. I don't disagree with you. Tristan says, if Bray Wyatt doesn't come back, will he be fired? There is absolutely no way I can answer that question. It's not possible. Spider-Boss says, I think SRS sent the troll for knowing what spoiler warning. I don't think I'm on his radar like that, to be honest, mate. Mark says, hey, just finished my stream and watching now, and when you've finished, I will check up. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you very kindly. Wiggly says, I don't know about Side. Does he do videos and websites? Videos, he's got some videos, and he's done some live streams and some charity streams. Websites he does, and does very well. Hogan confirms Burke Nihill is the Tennessee Titans president and CEO, which is the NFL football team based out of Nashville. Got you. That's a pretty good source then. Blue says the AEW stuff from WWE, could it be because of the merger? What merger is that? You mean like the WWE UFC merger? I'm not sure. Could just be the Vince is back. Spider-Boss says, do you think Dominic Mysterio needs to get better in the ring? I think it's fantastic in the ring. I don't see the issue. Adam says, hey Tom, what did I miss? So far we've reported on Ronda Rousey leaving, the SmackDown match card, Drew McIntyre's return, the UK WrestleMania plans or lack thereof, the fake news as regards Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, video plans for the week, and the new emotes. There's plenty more to come. Blue says, how big do you expect the SummerSlam card to be? About 10 matches personally. Eric says, do you actually think we'll get Liv and Raquel versus... Oh, no. No, why would that happen? Speaking of Raquel, there is a pitch being made backstage that are trying to convince Raquel and Charlotte Flair to go at it. This is apparently something of big interest to both women involved and something they want to do going forwards. But right now, Raquel Rodriguez is, of course, while a tag team champion and available to come to SmackDown, she is tied up elsewhere, as is Charlotte Flair tied up with Bianca Belair. Charlotte Flair and Raquel Rodriguez is something that they want to put together for an actual long-term feud, and it would require potentially a change of scenery for one or both of them. But my personal suspicion is that while a tag team champion, Raquel Rodriguez may pop up and in some way we end up with a Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez match, because after all, can they coexist? Moxie says, Tom, any news on the bloodline going forwards? Yes. Brad says, debunk them all. Peter says, can't wait for birthday Tom. Birthday Tom is indeed a coming. We also have, by the way, because I see what you've done there, a celebration emote. Which just could be one that could be fun after a big match. Just throwing that out there. Richard says, if Steph and Finn are given proper time, they'll put on a match of the year, at least a 5-star wrestling match. It wasn't fantastic at Money in the Bank, but it was still solid. Joey says, I really hope we get DIY versus KO and Sammy. I feel like it would be a big missed opportunity if they didn't do it. So, I have something on that. Let's actually jump into it now and then come back to what is happening there. The Way have not been on TV despite multiple plans and pitches put forward by Creative and Triple H. The majority of the reasoning seems to be the injury to Indy Hartwell. A lot of the concepts that they are putting forward evolve and revolve around Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis, and using them as a way to reintroduce The Way rather than the focus on Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Johnny and Candice want to bring their children to the forefront. So the injury to Indy Hartwell did derail plans quite significantly, though the plan essentially was to have them as a women's tag team and a men's tag team and a bit of a roaming faction there. This has created an opportunity, and I can't help but notice what you've said there, Joey. You may be very happy to hear. There are a number of superstars in the WWE who are making pitches that involve working with DIY, and Triple H is apparently very receptive to the idea. It looks like they may skip over The Way and instead go straight to DIY, because two voices at the forefront of wanting to wrestle DIY are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If that doesn't pop you, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. Tristan says, I'm hitting the like button. Thank you, Tristan. I appreciate that. Wiggly, talk to Sai. Find a way. If you're in the Discord, just chat to him. Sean says, I say the US title is the only title Damien can go after right now. He wouldn't beat Roman, Finn would stop him from defeating Seth, and Drew is most likely going to beat Gunther. I agree with most of that. He might have to get Finn out of the way first. Spider-Boss says, it's always good to acknowledge that Ronda has put over Liv Morgan 3 times, but somehow fans still complaining about Ronda. She's just not very popular. Oh, happy birthday, early birthday to you too as well, Richard. John says, look forward to the fake news report video. Cherry Coke night. It'd be a Cherry Coke night. Yes, it would. Blue says, 10-match SummerSlam card. Vince is definitely back. It was a pretty big card last year, let's be fair. Wiggly says, what's happening with William Regal? Will we see him on TV again? One day, yes. Keem says, any news on Big E or Kofi? Not at this point in time. To my knowledge, Kofi Kingston is nearing a return. Big E, they are still doing checks. I expect, again, latter part of the year, he'll likely be returning. Adam says, who do you think will win on Friday, Cross or Styles? Styles. I just don't have faith in Karrion Cross to win wrestling matches. Joey says, can they coexist, pal? Can they? Can they, though? Noob says, there's a lot of possibilities to keep Charlotte Flair away from the new WWE Women's title. Yes, there are, and I really think we need to see that happening. Rizal says, Tom, don't speak can they coexist into the universe. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Eric says, the reason why I asked is Liv and Raquel both said at the press conference they really want it. And they do. Richard says a match between Raquel and Charlotte will be the match that will be the making for Raquel. I agree with that. And Sean is hyped by the idea of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against DIY. Sean says Johnny and Candice wouldn't have all of their children. One is on SmackDown. Yes, but. Spider-Man says somehow I think Damian Priest will leave the Judgment Day. That seems to be the story they're trying to play. Sean just says, my dreams have come true. Dad is literally asking who's next for Sami and Kevin Owens. We'll see. They've got a number of different tag teams to work through. They will be featuring on the SummerSlam card. Joey says even Sami and KO won this match. Triple H has to make it happen. I suspect he may be thinking that way as well. Tristan says, will Bray Wyatt be back before 2024? That's entirely up to Bray Wyatt. Nothing has changed as regards Bray Wyatt. He needs to make the choices that get him back on TV. I'm going to sneeze. Bear with me. Cool. Richard says Sami and Kev vs DIY Man. That will be a classic. Dom says Damian Priest will be going solo tonight. The Evolution 2.0 story happens tonight, I'm guessing. The year of Judgment Day. I've been reporting it and I will continue to do so because it's a great time to be them. Did I not report as well last week that Finn Balor may be the one missing out because of other people in Judgment Day being pushed? Keem says DIY would be heels. Unlikely. They can do face versus face and I suspect they would. Richard says, is Beth and Rhea possible? Yes. But very, very unlikely. They were trying to get Beth versus Becky to be a thing and that didn't happen either. No, Adam, no update on Bray Wyatt. As I've said, nothing has changed. It is up to him to make the decisions to get him back on TV. Spider-Ball says, do you think Judgment Day Civil War would be good? Not yet. Eventually. Not yet. Peter, what are you trying to clip? What are you doing? What are you on about? Is that a sneeze? I'm weird, alright? Just accept it. Wheelie says, did Beth and Trish ever fight each other? I think so. Joey says, I hope they don't write up another goofy story with Bray feuding with Howdy. Bray wrote that. Bray wrote the story that people really seem to hate about the last time. Eric says, what's the biggest women's match WWE could book at the moment? Becky versus Ronda, no question. Eric says, speaking on Austin, any news on who he will face? Not at this point in time, but I suspect Sheamus is being positioned in that spot. Richard says, Tom, do you have much creative plan? Do you know how much creative plan has Vince refused to put on TV since returning in January? Refused is a strong word. It's accurate, but it's a strong word. Based on the rumours, I would say maybe about 10%. Nothing major. No, Spider-Boss, I think once Trish loses, that'll be that. That'll be that. The WWE view the current situation with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler as a favour being done to Shayna Baszler. Ronda Rousey, as part of her contract, wanted to make sure that Shayna Baszler got a strong push, but the WWE have plans for their champions that simply do not include Shayna Baszler at this point in time. She could, for example, have a very big win over Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam. That seems the most likely scenario right now. However, the intention afterwards right now is not to give her a significant push and no creative has been put together right now for Shayna Baszler after SummerSlam. Oof. Bloodline. This is our last piece of wrestling news before I start talking about essentially my plans going forwards. But the Bloodline. The reason Roman Reigns picked up the loss and took the pin was with a long-term intention to make Jey Uso bigger than Roman Reigns. Essentially, since the beginning of the Bloodline, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, in fact Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman all had one specific plan, and that plan was main event Uso. Jey, the right-hand man, would be the guy at the end who stands the tallest. Now, Solo Sikoa has got a very strong push coming out of this, and he's certainly someone who could take that crown. But the plan, as Roman has proved with the loss at Money in the Bank, is still for Jey Uso to be the biggest name coming out of this. Roman right now is on a mission to feed Jey Uso. You may suggest he's feeding him more, but Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns is the plan for SummerSlam, for the championship. And honestly, at this point, I think it's time. I think Jey Uso might be your next undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. And all the other words that come with that championship. Keem says, imagine if Bray appears tonight and challenges Seth. Probably won't. The other Mike says, I suppose Sami KO will lose to a team on SmackDown just to get some belts on that show. Could well be, yes. Just to be clear, Mike, when it comes to Seth and Bray, nobody wants to see that again. That includes Seth and Bray. Spider-Boss says Shayna versus Rhea would be good too. Very possibly. Yeah, I have a very weird sneeze, Peter. Very weird sneeze. Razar says, I don't think we're talking enough about the fact that we have Asuka as champion, Io Sky as Miz Money in the Bank. Potential match and feud is really exciting. I think that's a fair comment, Razar, but to be fair, I've been talking about it for a little while. At some point, I've been considering just going onto Twitter and starting a thread and just continually adding to the thread of everything I've reported that's been proven right, especially when you consider how well I've been doing for the last few weeks. Asuka versus Io, the Drew McIntyre return, the exact Money in the Bank winners. There's a lot going on that I've got pretty well covered. The Bray Wyatt return, that's another one on there. The situation with Randy Orton, which a lot of people have suddenly started reporting the same. I do feel at some point I maybe should do that. It'll be very self-congratulatory, but also it'll get a lot of views. Spider-Boss says, do you think Roman still retains at SummerSlam? Not so much. Joey says, it seems like either Jey or Solo will dethrone Roman. Bailey says, any update in the restart of WWE's films division with the Endeavour acquisition? They need to formally create the company first, and that's not quite happened yet. After that, they will start exploring their options, and it looks like it'll take a little bit longer because of NXT Europe as well. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things. Moises says, that'd be amazing if Jey dethroned Roman. Dom says, you've got me excited. Sorry, says, you don't got me hype for SummerSlam. Eric says, any plans for Zoe post-Trish going back into retirement? Yes, but she'll go back into Gen Pop. Tristan, Australia are making their bids. I strongly suspect a pay-per-view will be announced there at some point soon. Leon, it's a number of different things. When it comes to Bray, I think I've been pretty clear. It's up to him at this point to write something that the WWE are happy with. Element of creative control is working against him. Joey says, I wanted to see Becky versus Rhea at SummerSlam. I think they would have been a bigger match than Trish. They will be, and may in fact be the WrestleMania match at this point. Jordan Plays, welcome, says, I think it would have been wise to have had Finn win the title. Would have created so much more intrigue of Damien having the briefcase. I'd have gone all the way to Damien, personally. All the way. I'd have gone all the way with Damien. Richard says, it's a shame WWE Creative can't find plans for Shayna. She was amazing in NXT. Could be an amazing heel. I still think there's potential there, and I think they could come up with something. I just don't think versus Rhea Ripley is the right move right now. Eric would love to see Ronda versus Bianca. Doesn't seem to be happening. Sean says, Bailey could also persuade Io to cash in on the tag titles. She could try. Dark Society says, does WWE still want to do Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania 40? To my knowledge, no. Venom, the NXT call-ups after SummerSlam. Spider-Boss says, I think Solo should beat Roman by next year. Adam says, is Vince okay with pushing Bronson Reed? You didn't mention him in the list of people Vince didn't want to push. Then I don't know. If I don't report something, it's because I don't know it. Joey says, do you think Australia could be the big pay-per-view in September? I mean, it's not impossible. Zane says, will Piper Niven ever be back on TV? John says, keep up the great work, Tom. You've got a good track record going for you. We'll all be here to support your channel grow. Thank you, Jordan. That means the world to me. The growth of this channel is built almost entirely on the people who are already here, the people who are constantly watching the shorts, the videos, joining in with the trivia, everyone who hits like, everyone who has a comment and chats. All of you are building this channel from the ground up. And now we're 11 away from 2,500. Wildest dreams right here. Wildest dreams. So huge thank you to you as well, Jordan, just for being here and for helping in the way that you have. Dark Society said, what's the plan going forward for LA Knight? They haven't fully formalized it. They're still exploring options. LA Knight basically was not supposed to be this big this fast, and they're now scrambling to come up with something that suits him and the audience without interrupting anyone else. So Triple H writes his creative plans months in advance and doesn't like to make a sort of last-ditch emergency changes. It would be an emergency change to get LA Knight a stronger push right now, but the fans want it, so he'd have to de-push someone else. Indeed. Spider-Boss said, it's always difficult to say when Roman is losing the title. When people think Roman will lose, he wins. Sean says, do you think Dakota will be back by or at the Rumble? By, yes. Adam says, any update on budget cuts? I've already reported anything I can on that one. Tristan says, with Endeavour in charge now, are WWE women allowed to have OnlyFans or brand army? No. Dad says, I enjoyed the short today, Tom, or yesterday. I left a like on it. Appreciate that. The likes on the shorts are increasing as well, because I think most of them are seen by people who don't know who I am. So it really does help, so thank you. Dom says, I would have liked to see Samoa Joe beat Roman, but I'll take main event Jay to do it if it's going to happen. And yes, Tom, I know he's in AEW. Eric says that the Endeavour acquisition, I expected some talent firings. Do you see it happening in the near future? What I've reported about this is that the WWE are trying to avoid budget cuts by increasing revenue streams. One of the main methods by which they're increasing revenue streams is essentially by going continental. Wiggly says, glad Io was getting a push. She was worried she was never going to get that call from NXT or the push. Joey says it feels like Daniel Bryan again when the fans force WWE to push him. Mark says, just jumping over to YouTube to like. Thank you very much for that, Mark. We are one away from 50, 49 likes right now, and only one away from 2,490 subscribers. So if you've not yet subscribed, please do consider it. If you've not yet hit like, please do consider it as well. And we also have, as I've been talking about new emotes, a spoiler warning colour thumbs up. Just throwing that out there. It's not that I'm talking about it too much or anything. There are three quick things I want to mention before we wrap up, and it's about not necessarily wrestling, but me. My day today was a bit hectic. I had, my standard day of work, so I get up at about 7:30, and I work 8:30 till 5 o'clock, and it's a bit hectic at the moment. It's a bit stressful at the moment. And then around 2 o'clock, my partner let me know that she's suffering a migraine at the moment. She was sick last night, and she was really struggling today. So would I mind helping with the school run? Yes, absolutely. Talk to my boss, get that sorted. So I had to sit on one of those tiny little plastic chairs that they have in schools, which is massively not fun. Massively not fun. While my youngest, for those who don't know, I'm a stepdad. My youngest is preparing for a school trip that's coming up. After that, with my partner sick, it just all hell kind of broke loose, and it got very, very stressful. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but stressful days like that obviously make it quite difficult. And I really struggle sometimes with them, and I don't want to vent because, they're my family and they're doing the best that they can. But at the end of it, after I've put everyone to bed and I come home, those are the days when I feel like a dad. And those are some very special moments for me. So I had a difficult and extremely rewarding day. So I apologise that I haven't got the fake news stuff ready, or maybe I haven't got all the news that I was really planning to do. But I'm happy with my choices. Just thought I'd share that because, like, you guys know me pretty well. I don't hide who I am. I'm very open about what I believe, and you know, every now and then, that's where I am in life right now. And it's a really fun place to be. I have everything I ever wanted. A lot of you were here when I was at bad times. A lot of you were here where I was at very bad times. Most of you will remember the post-it. A post-it behind me that says, "This is not the worst day of your life." And, you know, just wanted to share that. We're going to get back to stream stuff. I needed a minute there. Spider-Boss says, "Awesome spoiler warning with the Drew news, Bloodline news and Ronda news." Thank you, mate. Bailey says, "Thanks for sharing, Tom." Appreciate that. Willie says, "Tom, you have to do what's best for you. Difficult days are what life is about. You know life is bigger than everything, including stuff like this." I'd imagine you put that before we got to the big finish there. Michael says, "Unacceptable. Get it together." Kidding. Happy for you. Cheers, mate. Mark says, "As a parent, being a dad is the best feeling in the world. And I 100% see where you're coming from. And your kids will appreciate all the work you do for everyone. Keep up the amazing work. And we're all here for you." Personally, like, just speaking personally, being a dad is something I think I always wanted. And it's very rewarding. Like, to each their own. And everyone obviously lives different lives and has different desires and stuff. But for me, everything I wanted. Appreciate that, Wiggly. I appreciate that. We got a little love heart from Ed. Peter says, "Treasure it, Tom. They grow up too fast. Family always comes first. No need to explain." Jordan says, "Good for you, mate." Brad says, "Tom, as someone raised by a stepdad, you're a great man for taking on that role." I appreciate that. It's not easy at times, but I'm really happy with what I've been doing, and I think they're really happy with it as well. You know, it's parenting by consent, and so far, so good. Eric says, "You did an amazing job regardless. Happy for you, Tom." Appreciate that. I love heart from Turnbuckle as well. Kevin says, "As a father myself, I genuinely understand the joy. You're an awesome person and you deserve all the happiness in the world. Keep up the work." Thank you. I appreciate that. Two more things I want to discuss. Leon says, "Good for you, man. Sending all my love." Thank you. Every now and then there's a little bit of like a familial loving, and I just really appreciate it. There have been dark times in these shows, and a lot of it has been you guys pulling me by the bootstraps through it. I really appreciate all of you. Friday will be our birthday stream. Well, at least my birthday stream. The birthday of the stream is January 15th. But my birthday will be on the 7th of July, just like every year. And it is on a Friday. So the spoiler warning will be of the birthday stream. I've shown you the birthday overlay. It is horrible. Horrible. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But it's horrible. Which I like. So there'll be more on that one. But there's one more thing I just want to touch on. Just before, the wrap up. I spoke on the watch party about diversifying content. And there's a reason for this. I'm currently working on 3 different platforms. YouTube is the main one. And that is where almost all of my focus is, as you know. Twitch, right after that. Twitch, still an area where I'm putting focus and putting attention, making sure that you guys have access to the content as well, and as much as I can make sure that you have the same that everyone on YouTube gets. I'm also on TikTok at the moment, as you guys know. Yesterday, for example, I had a TikTok on Ronda Rousey leaving that currently has more than 13,000 views. I have just over 200 followers. So TikTok, so far, doing good, helping to grow the channel here on YouTube, I firmly believe, because all of those 13,000 people saw the little icon that says YouTube Shorts, and they know where we are. There is, of course, also Discord, which I'm very happy with the Discord at the moment. There's a lot going on. Plenty of you are really involved, and a lot of streamers are coming out of the Discord as well at the moment. So everything is going really well. Thank you for that, Adam. That was nice to say. Everything is going really well at the moment. Long may it continue. Spider-Boss says, you're the good side of wrestling media, Tom. Thanks for always explaining details about the Mercedes money news. Happy to do so, mate. Happy to do so. Will says, do you know if WWE is still planning to have the women's tag titles defended on all three brands? Yes, they are. Clyde says, late to the party, however, sending my love as well. The like button has been smashed. Hope all is well. Everything's really good, Clyde. Thank you for asking. I hope it's true for you as well. Danielle says, evening, Tom. Away at the moment. Money in the Bank was full of moments, wasn't it? It was indeed. Richard says, Tom, you're an amazing person and stand-up man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And James says, do you think Ronda can be going back to UFC now that Amanda retired? Possibly she could. Yes, possibly she could. Wiggly says, Tom, we go forward to doing a UK political stream. Maybe there will eventually be a UK political channel here. And there is someone that I'm talking to at the moment who's also very aware of US politics. So it may end up, if I get what I'm looking for, being a political channel. For those that don't know, I lean to the left. I'm a social capitalist. Which I know is sort of centric, but you get what I mean. That has been our show. We have been live for just over an hour. We peaked at a pretty good number, got plenty of likes, and hopefully reported plenty of news that you guys enjoyed. And over the days and weeks to come, I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about. Carl says, thanks for an amazing spoiler warning. Long live King Colohue. Thank you kindly. John says, see you Friday for your birthday stream, Tom. Cheers, mate. I will see you all hopefully on Friday for the birthday stream, the birthday spoiler warning. Hopefully that's something everyone will enjoy. No, James, nothing new on Bray. The situation has not changed. Until then, though, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.